What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Big Nate Review. It's your boy Big Nate, and today we have a bit of a different video. This is basically just going to be a rant because I found out about an hour ago that the big beautiful bill proposed by Donald Trump, which is truly one of the worst pieces of legislation in history, has just passed both the House of Representatives and the Senate. Is about to get sent to the president's desk, and by all account looks like it is going to be passed into actual law. And there's a few things about this that I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about just like the actual policy and how it's basically just gutting social programs like Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, food assistance, child nutrition, all of those things, purely to give the already ultra wealthy even more millions and billions in tax cuts. But even more than the policy, I just want to talk about, from a historical lens and bring in some of the ideas I talked about recently with Leo Tolstoy and War and Peace and the rise and fall of the Third Reich, and just this overall idea that there is this current of history which, against all odds, against all common sense, nevertheless still somehow take place. Just this series of insane events. That is something fascinating, I think, about history, is that seems to happen repeatedly, and this I think is just the latest instance of what that looks like. And the reason I say it's just against all common sense is because what this bill literally is it's gutting just like critical social programs which benefit and work towards like the poorest working class people in the country, purely to fill, in a world right now where the insane wealth disparity between billionaires, where like the top 10 of them own like the bottom 50% of the world's wealth. Just when you think capitalism cannot get pushed any further to the limit, like just when you think it's right at the breaking point, somehow this big beautiful bill, which is an enormous transfer of wealth to just from poor working class people, even more to the already insanely wealthy. It's just insane how this keeps happening. And again, it's like Leo Tolstoy says in War and Peace, against all odds, he had everything working against him, but somehow still Napoleon rises to power. All the dozens and dozens of ways Hitler's rise to power could have been stopped, or World War II could have been, prematurely nipped in the bud. But it's almost as if like the events themselves conspire to just make this unlikely series of events take place. And it's just like, how profoundly stupid are these people? And I hate to say it, I know it's not all of them, but just in general, conservatives, because it's because of conservative politicians and House and Senate members that this got passed. How stupid are you to vote for a policy that is overwhelmingly going to affect you? It's just like, it's absolutely insane. This literally only benefits people like billionaires and at the expense of the working class. It's just like, our country is either just literally full of idiots, or there is this divide. I don't think they're mutually exclusive either. Or, there's this huge disconnect between political representatives and the needs and values of the people that they are supposed to represent. And I mean, this isn't all that crazy. I just watched this really fantastic documentary, actually with Viet Thanh Nguyen, from the author of The Sympathizer. That's how I came up onto it. But one of the main things I took away from that documentary, and just knowledge about the Vietnam War in general, is just how indifferent politicians are actually to the needs and wants of the people. They just act completely selfishly and out of political gain, where they are completely removed from the situation, and they are making decisions at the highest level that are paid at the expense and sacrifice of the overwhelming working class people. And another fascinating thing about this to me is the fact that, we truly never learn from our mistakes. We never learn from history, because in this bill is $180 billion to ICE, which for one is more than the military of the Marines. And ICE, from everything we've seen so far, they're literally pulling people from their immigration court hearing. Like, these are people who are legally going through they say immigrants need to come in legally. They are literally at the court trying to do this as legal as possible. There's just been tons of videos of people just being snatched up by totally masked people. They're breaking into restaurants, they're breaking into homes, waiting outside of like high school graduations. And this, you just gave them more of a budget than the entire military. Like, it's clear that what's been going on in America is giving fascistic tendencies. And yet we voted these people into office. Like, it's insane. And it's like, where is the voice of opposition? We have like hundreds of members that are political representatives, and there's like 3, maybe 4 people that are actively speaking against this. AOC, Bernie Sanders, recently Zoran Mamdani, and Christopher Von Hollen, that dude who actually went to El Salvador to check on Abrego Garcia, who was mistakenly illegally deported against all the rulings of the Supreme Court. Again, more fascistic tendencies. But these are like, you can count on one hand the amount of people that are actively speaking out against this. Again, all of it is just mind-boggling to me. Like I said, this wasn't like a structured video. This was just, I needed to rant. I just heard the news and I had to talk my shit. More than anything, to me, honestly, this is just like, from a historical perspective, it is fascinating how we never learn from our mistakes, and we vote in the people that literally want to increase wealth disparity when it is an all-time high at the expense of the working class, when they are just being more and more bled dry, and yet we are the ones who voted against our own self-interest. Again, it's just fascinating. But anyway, this was a bit of a one-off, but let me know what you guys think. I'm sure there's dissenting opinions on this. I'd love to hear those. But in the meantime, thank you guys for watching the Big Nate Review.